I'm joined today by Nathan Corden from Greyhound Trader Organisation, and earlier today I received a press release to say that the upcoming sale that was due to take place at Monmore has been cancelled and is due to be switched to Sheffield in January. Nathan, what's the story?
I got a call from Ian Smythe out the blue a few days ago, and he just said he wasn't planning any sales at all, whether it's us or any other company, for 2020 at the Entain tracks. Yeah, it was a bit of a shock, really. We were planning for Monmore on Thursday, the 13th of January. It's a bit gutting because since they announced their puppy derby was now going to be £20,000 to the winner, which is great. I've got 30 entries already, which is silly at this stage, so early. But the caliber of the breeder or trainer, and the caliber of the dog was probably, it would have been probably the best sale we've ever done. It's disappointing, but we've got to move on. Thankfully, Sheffield have stepped in, and we were trying to get into Sheffield this year for 2021, but we weren't able to. So we're delighted that we pushed it back 6 days. So Wednesday, the 19th of January, we'll be at Sheffield now.
That's fabulous. I mean, I take it though, most of the dogs will surely still come, won't they?
Hopefully. I mean, the initial ones that we've spoken to said that that they'll still bring their 6 or 8 dogs. And it'll be the same dogs. I think the good thing with Sheffield is the 480 there, and the 500 are relatively easy trips, and they're not like a stiff 500 like Toaster. So I think those pups will still come across, and hopefully we'll be able to sell them at Sheffield.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really think that you could have possibly had a better kind of substitution, could you really? I mean, it would have been one thing, a different part of the country entirely. We're only moving from the West Midlands to South Yorkshire, and also, again, as you say, the distance. So you'd hope that would crack on. I wanted to talk to you about, in general, obviously this was your first year of trading as Greyhound Trader. What have you learned? Would you have done anything different?
I think first of all, we're absolutely delighted where we are. I mean, we've had 7 sales. We've sold 290. Sorry, in total we sold 293 dogs, including online auctions. But I think actually at the track sales we've sold 237. We're over the moon where we were. I thought it would be a good year, or 18 months, 2 years to actually sort of establish ourselves. But I think we've done a reasonable job. Everyone seems positive about what we do. I think we learn from every sale. We're trying to improve every time, and it probably wasn't easy starting a business, let alone something like that in a pandemic. So I think between myself and James, and James has played a big role in it as well. He's very proud of him. He's really took on board what he needs to do, and I think he's in a 3rd year of university where he's got a year out, so this is what he's been doing, and I think it's a great business experience for him.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would have done differently? Is there anything that you've learned that you've tweaked and maybe changed the way you operate?
I think potentially, originally I think we set off thinking we'd have 60 lots at each sale, we'll have 3 dog trials, and to be honest with you, we've sort of scaled that back down to doing 2 dog trials, give the dogs every opportunity to not bump into each other, and tend to be around 40 to 45 lots. I think if we had any more than that, it would be an extremely long day.
Yes, of course. And how about the trading or the cost of the dogs? Is that roughly what you're expecting?
Yeah, I mean, it does keep rising all the time. There's no skirting around the issue. There will be, and a big shortage of dogs in the future. I think we're starting to see bits and bobs of that now. Dogs are available at the moment, but you're paying more for them. So I remember going to sales years ago in Ireland, and you'd pick a dog up for 400 or 500 quid and actually make a very, very decent grader that could go up through the grades. Those dogs are now starting at 12, 13, 14, 1500 quid, and then don't forget, on top of that, you've got the extra transport costs now because of Brexit. Those costs have gone up. Even before the dog has its first race, you've got your £200 bond with the GBGB, you've got your registration fees. A 1,500 dog suddenly becomes 2,000. It is tough for owners when the prize money is still not where everybody wants it to be. But
yeah, the thing that occurs to me, though, I mean, looking back, I've got sort of greyhound owners. Well, I've got a complete full set of greyhound owners, but looking back even to, should we say, the 1970s, 1980s, dogs were run-of-the-mill dogs were £400-500 back then. So comparatively speaking, they are ridiculously cheap still, aren't they?
Look, listen, you can get dogs they are available. If you wanted to go out and buy 10, 20 tomorrow, you could. As long as you've got the money, you can go and buy dogs. Where we are in a year, 18 months time on that, I don't know. It's common knowledge there's less litters being bred. I think in Ireland, the farmer who probably had 1 or 2 litters a year, they've gone out the game. That those small people have stopped breeding because costs have got so high. Rearing a dog probably used to be £1,000. You're now looking 1,500 to 2,000 to do it properly. So, automatically a breeder's going to sit down and look at it and think, actually, I need to get a good one out of this litter to pay for everything, because if it's cost them £2,000, including the stud fee and everything like that, it's no good for them selling dogs for 700 or 800 quid.
I mean,
they've got to make a living and try and get their money back.
I'd say realistically, I mean, you look around, I know the pandemic has been a slightly absurd situation, but most of them will be better off breeding German Shepherds or God knows what else and make a lot of money, wouldn't they? I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking maybe £3,000 or £4,000 a pup. You're only going to be getting that for well-bred pups.
Yes.
As far as greyhounds are concerned.
Yeah.
So it's still very, very cheap. I mean, I've always said that the Irish breeders have subsidised the British racing industry since the beginning, and they continue to do it. I mean, most of these dogs, however way you look at it, 70-80% of them are basically failures in some form, are they not?
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, to be fair, I mean, we've tried to join the bandwagon as well. We've now got 3 or 4 bitches over in Ireland that one's currently a brood. She's had 1 litter so far. The other 3 are future broods. We'll probably start breeding ourselves and try and sell them. Now, whether that comes, hopefully the good ones we might keep ourselves, you never know, or we might sell on, and then the rest that probably don't, we could actually utilize them in the sales in the future.
Yeah, I spoke to a few trainers who realised that they are going to have to breed. I was talking to Seamus Cahill yesterday for an article that will appear today, and I think with the Bannerbane as an example, I think her litters are something like 14 and 15 pups in a litter.
Yeah.
So maybe not, 13 or 14 anyway. And given the nature of the price of dogs, Seamus can entirely justify doing that, let alone getting a Lola or a surprising come out the litter. Even the graders now, you can justify breeding on those terms, can't you?
Well, I think everyone would want a brood bitch that could produce 12, 13, 14 pups every time. It would be nice, but it is a risk on everything. You spend a lot of money on a good stud dog, and you could end up with 1, 2, or 3 pups. Where do you go from there? You're sort of snookered to getting any of your money back. You have to hope that 1 pup or a couple of pups are decent.
Yeah, personally, I think I looked at the figures. I mean, we know figures were dramatically down, double digit percentage reduction in 2020, and of course 2022 will be the year of the 2020. Well, that's how these things work in 2-year cycles. My bigger concern will be the fact that most breeders are not doing it for money anyway. They're doing it for the crack, otherwise they wouldn't bother. And again, rather a little like the trainers, a lot of those traditional Irish breeders, the old farmers, are simply grown old and died. And we're not getting the young people. Forget the money side of it, because the money's not relevant. We're simply not getting enough young people coming through that want to breed greyhounds, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that probably for a younger sort of generation, there is more distractions now. You know, traditionally you would follow in the family footsteps. You know, your grandfather reared them, your parents reared them. You know, you'd always probably try and rear a litter a year. But you're right, those sort of people are not coming into the industry anymore. You know, there are other distractions out there, and whether that's, you know, that I think the money is still important, Floyd, because I think at some point they've got to look at it and think, do I want to go down this line, or do I not want to go down this line? If I have a litter of 6 pups, you know, that's £9,000 to rear them. Stud fee could be 1,500 quid. So you're already outlaying a lot of money, unless you can sell them off as 12-week-old pups. And then hopefully, you know, if you don't decide to do that, you keep them all yourself. You've got to try and sell that litter for at least £2,000 each.
Oh, I agree.
It's a great level.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only point I was making was that people aren't breeding for the money as a primary source. But as you say, they have to be able to try and at least cover their costs, because who can afford to go and burn 10 grand on a litter of pups?
Yeah. And you are right. And I think most people, us included, you know, our brood bitch, she's a sister of Skywalker Logan. You know, your hope is you've got a Derby winner in there. That's everybody's hope, you know, but reality, you know, you're 1 in a million sort of thing.
Yeah. One last thing, I think probably one last point on it. Is there any further development in terms of VAT?
Not at the moment. Last I heard, they were due to bring it in on January the 1st, but it's been pushed back yet again. So we've already had a couple of pushbacks. So 1st of January this year, 1st of July this year, and it was going to be 1st of January 2022. There is hopefully a rumor that the idea has been scrapped completely, but from what my understanding is, it's just been pushed back further back at the moment. So whether that's into the middle of 2022 or the whole of 2022, we're not wholly sure yet.
Doesn't sound like good news the way it comes, does it really?
No. It's just more cost, isn't it? More expense, more hassle, more red tape. You know, it's not simple, you know, and I think when we set up the sales company last year, you know, like I said earlier, you've done it in a time when you're in a pandemic and a time straight after Brexit. Everything was actually so much easier before Brexit.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Nathan, I think that rounds this subject up, and I think we'll be going on to something new. I guess the other subject that we could raise, simply because it's so current, is the TV trophy, and obviously the fact that Toaster have missed out in terms of the Entain tracks. What are your thoughts?
Initially you're disappointed. Obviously we want to put on the best racing possible, but you know, you get beat fair and square. So, you know, it's great for the marathon scene. I know that we sort of put in £15,000 to the winner. We wanted to increase it from what it was this year. So our bid was £15,000 to the winner. So the GBGB have come back to us and said it's a better financial package, which is great for racing. You know, that's what we want. You know, the marathon scene has been so good this year. Let's hope that continues next year. So, you know, we'll have a Cat 1 marathon race at Toaster in March, and then we should roll straight into the TV trophy, which I think is being scheduled for April. So, you know, we don't know what that's worth to the winner, but maybe it forms part of their Premier Greyhound scheme. So, you know, let's hope it's £20,000 to the winner. You know, you have to accept that we put 15 in. It's more than that. So great for racing, great for the marathon dogs.
Absolutely so. You can't be churlish and say anything other than we want what's best for the industry. And clearly,
No.
throwing more money at the marathon dogs is a very, very good thing, is it not?
Yeah, look, everybody loves marathon racers. Hove will put on a great race. I mean, you remember the race from a couple of years ago with Roxanne Christoph and everything. You know, that was a great race in itself as well. So, you know, let's look forward to it. And I think as an industry, the marathon scene is exciting. You know, I think the only thing want to say really is, you know, we put our bids in on the 30th of November. I don't quite know why we needed to wait until 22nd of December to get a decision on it. You know, it's quite simple. We put our bid in of £15,000 to the winner. They'll put their bid in. You know, for me, it's a simple case of, oh, that's more. You know, let's award them that. You know, and I think it was difficult for us. We would have loved to included Oxford into the proposal, but we weren't allowed to. The actual tender document said, or it's made clear to us that we couldn't include Mildenhall, Suffolk Downs, and Oxford because they weren't actual tracks yet. They weren't licensed.
But that's fair enough, isn't it? That's fair.
Yeah, but our plan would have been, you know, ideally to Toaster 2022, Oxford 2023. You know, Oxford's actually got a great history with the TV trophy as well. I mean, was the home of the old Cesarewitch as well.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Oh well, let's look forward.
Well, that's it. You know, just a quicker decision would have just suited everybody, I think.
Yeah. Oh well, you can still come up with the money and stick another marathon on, can't you?
Well, you know, look, I think let's see how we go. You know, we've got a one-off on Boxing Day. We've got I think we tried to fill it, but it didn't fill. We've got a one-off on New Year's Day. So, you know, we're very much supportive of the marathon scene.